Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 4th of February 2019. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay guys, so now then, also just wanted to quickly mention something. So for example, if you would like me to cover a certain specific instrument, let's say, which I maybe didn't cover in one of the videos, then please leave a comment after the video gets uploaded to YouTube. So just leave a comment after the video has ended, and I'll take a look at that, and for the next video I'll try to kind of look into the requested instruments. So guys, but for now, for today, for this session, the first one I want to touch on here is the platinum. Now, I was talking about this one in one of my previous videos last week. So basically I was telling you guys to keep a close eye here on this one, and you can see that initially when I was covering this one, we already managed to reach the 825 zone, from which we kind of retraced back down a little. But then the target that I was talking about here for us was the 831 level. So you can see we've had a fantastic touch here back on the 1st of February last week, so basically on Friday, and you can see that how well that played out, and it was just to show you that it was previously acting as a nice area of resistance as well here back on the 7th of January. So had a nice perfect touch, from which you can see that the bears kind of jumped in here quickly and drove this commodity back down. But as you can see, we do have this very tentative upside support line here, very short term, very tentative one that's running here from the low of the 28th of January. So in a way, you can see that it's kind of playing out nicely for now, even though we did have a few undershoots here, but quickly the price got back above it. And certainly now what we're looking at here for is the 819 level. Again, you can see that previously it acted as a good area of resistance, but right now we're going to keep on monitoring that level as well, because if this gets a nice push further up here, certainly again one more time we will target the 825 level. But if that fails to withhold the bulls down here, then we will aim for the 831 level. So which again, for the same target we had here previously last week. So a nice good push above the 831 could open the path towards much higher levels, maybe even actually going all the way here towards the 850 level. But that's of course in terms of the upside here. In terms of the downside, well, even if we're going to drop below this short-term tentative upside support line, still we're going to target this level right here at around 808 zone. Now this could be that gateway towards much lower levels if of course we get a break here below that, but because it also could play out as a nice support area. So that's why we're not going to really become really that bearish if we see a break below this tentative upside support line. For us, let's say in order to start considering lower levels, or even the levels like the psychological 800 zone, or even actually going lower, much lower towards this upside support line, this medium-term upside support line here, taken from the lows of August last year. In order for us to kind of consider all that, basically we need to see a nice good drop below the 808 zone, and only then, like I said, we'll aim for lower levels. But for now until it's trading here above this upside support line, certainly keep your eyes on the 819 level. Nice good push above this could increase the possibility of seeing maybe a retest of the 825 zone. But if this doesn't hold the price down, then we will target the 831 level again. Jumping into DXY now, this is a very interesting one. Today is getting a nice boost here. And certainly looking at this overall picture here, we can see that this index continues to trade below this downside resistance line taken from the highs of December last year, and but also it was initially trading below this a somewhat tentative downside resistance line, a very short one, taken from the highs of the 24th of January. So now, of course, on Friday it broke it to the upside here nicely, and now we're targeting the 95.90 level, something like that, 95.92, something like that, approximately there. So of course this could be that this barrier, if it's gonna get broken, this could lead towards higher levels, and by higher levels I mean the 96 zone, and above that we do have the 96.30, which is not far from this downside resistance line. So in a way we could see maybe a nice good push further up here, especially if we're going to get a nice pop above the 95.92 area, approximately there, and then, like I said, we will target this downside, this downside resistance line that I was talking about before, and we will target that one for a test. And this is where it could become interesting to see if actually the index will manage to break it and push further up here. But of course that's a bit of a long shot here. For now the big question here is, are we going to overcome the 95.92 zone? If we do, then we could target the 200 EMA, which is around the 96 zone, or even a little bit higher. On the downside, well, for us, let's say to start considering lower levels again here, we would need to see a nice good push back down below the 95.45 zone, approximately there, guys. And actually, let me just get rid of this line, because to be honest, it's no longer valid, no longer needed. And in a way, what we're going to target here is this 95.45 zone, approximately here, and a drop below this could send the index lower towards the lows that we saw here back in January. So in other words, the lowest or should I say the lowest point of the 31st of January, so around the 95.20 zone. And of course lower than that we do have the lowest point of January this year, so, and that's approximately around the 95 zone itself. So in a way, guys, for now, long story short, basically for the downside, even if this decides to push back down right now, we still could see this as a little correction before another push higher. But if this decides to drop below the 95.45 level, now this is where we will start looking at slightly lower levels, let's put it that way. Jumping into AUDUSD now, this one is a very interesting one here, and this is what I wanted to show you guys. This is just an idea so that you would keep it in your head. Basically, you can see that today we're moving a little bit lower here. It's targeting the 0.7204 level, approximately there, which was previously acting as a nice good area of resistance right here on the 30th of January and also on the 27th of January as well. So now it could take the role of being a nice good support area, but if this fails to withhold the bear pressure, we could see a further slide here, and we do have an upside support line here taken from the lows of 3rd of January. And basically what I wanted to show you this here, of course, as you probably already understood, we do have a potential rising wedge formation here, and in a way, of course, for a better confirmation of such a formation, we would need to see a nice rebound here from the, let's call it the lower bound of the lower side of this potential formation, basically, and then we would like to see a push higher, maybe even, like I said, a touch of the upper side of this potential formation. So in a way, guys, this is something, just an idea, something for you to keep an eye on. In a way, if this, like I said, if this decides to drop below the 0.7204 level, Keep your eyes on this upside support line here, this short-term upside support line, which could be the lower side of the rising wedge, and we could then maybe see a rebound and a push back up. So very interesting pair, especially keep an eye on it on today. Keep an eye on it today and tomorrow morning, because overnight here we do have the Australian Central Bank coming out with some news over, and of course with the rate statement, let's put it that way, and the deciding on the interest rate. Of course, there won't be any surprises. Probably won't be any surprises. The rate might stay the same, but still kind of for now, guys, keep your eyes on this pair. From the technical side of it, you can see that this is what's happening right now. The first level that we're keeping a close eye on is the 0.7204. If we do get a nice break here, then yep, aim for this upside support line here, or in other words, a potential lower side of the potential rising wedge formation. So guys, keep your eyes on it. Jumping into another pair here, and that's EURGBP. Now this one, a bit of a mixed trading here today, certainly currently bouncing around the 0.8765 zone. It seems that it doesn't know what it wants to do, so it's still trading above this upside support line taken from the low of the 25th of January. In a way, of course, we had a nice push here back above the pivot today, still not far from it. In order for us, let's say, to start aiming for higher levels, we would need to see a nice good push above last week's highs near the 0.8795 zone. A nice good push above that level here could open the path towards slightly higher levels. And let me just get rid of this line here, guys, slightly irrelevant now. What we will target then is this little obstacle around the 0.8830, or even slightly above that. We do have the 0.8860 level, which was marked here by the highs of the 21st of January. So quite an interesting, good level, potential level of resistance. But in order to kind of in order to consider that area, we need to see a nice good move above the last week's highs near the 0.8795 level, and only then we will aim for these higher levels that I've just talked about. So for now, guys, stay sharp, be very careful. If this suddenly drops below the pivot and starts pushing lower, we will still remain somewhat neutral here, because for us to, let's say, aim for much lower levels, we would need, for a better confirmation, we would need to see a nice good drop below the 0.8710 level, approximately there. This would also, of course, place the rate below this short-term tentative upside support line, and of course then we will aim for much lower levels. And let me just adjust a few lines here, guys. And of course, after the 0.8710 level, what we're aiming for then is for this little low here that we saw back on the 29th of January, and that was approximately around the 0.8655 level. So good potential area of support, but only if we're gonna get a nice drop below the 0.8710 level. So for now, probably the small little recommendation would be here to remain neutral and just wait for that break. Let me just put an arrow here for our future reference. There we go, guys. So just to kind of, so that we would know what we were talking about when we move on into the next video. Jumping into USDCAD, last pair here. So this is was an idea that we threw out here on our trading view. And basically what we threw out here is a possible move higher here on the USDCAD, and basically where is that? Didn't upload it properly. So anyway, this is basically that we had an idea here where we've said about that the 130 120 level is the one that we're watching here right now, and basically this is the potential scenario here where we will be looking at a possible move higher here on a break above the 130 120, where the next potential target here is going to be around the 132 zone, which was marked here by the lows of 27th and 28th of January, so not far from there. You can see that now it's kind of currently playing out nicely. Let's see if it actually continues. We do have a tight stop loss here near these lows, near the lows of Friday, and that's approximately around the 130.65, maybe just slightly a few ticks below that, but nevertheless around that area. And you can see now that the pair is kind of trying to push higher, it's trying to move higher, and of course the big question here is, are we actually gonna reach this level here, the 132 again? Looking at the overall picture here, you can see that we did have a nice rebound from this upside support line, this long-term upside support line taken from the lows of January last year, and you can see that this January it rebounded nicely from that level, which is actually on the 1st of February already took a rebound. So it took a nice year here to get back to this upside support line. So now we're pushing higher. There is a chance that we could see a bit of more upside, and that's what, but for now, like I said, we are only targeting the 132 area, just because we do have this little line to keep in mind of, and this downside resistance line right here, guys, taken from the highs that we saw here in January. So the highest point of January, if you draw a line, a downside resistance line, this is what we're targeting right now, and be very cautious with this one. Like I said, we could see maybe this one traveling further up here, but if it fails to kind of drive above this downside resistance line, well, this is where we could see some more bears jumping in again. So for now, keep your eyes on this one. This is the idea that we've got in our minds right now. Let's see if it plays out, but like I said, we do have a very tight stop loss on this one, and yep, we'll see how it works. But okay, guys, for now, I'll have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching and listening. And as mentioned before in the beginning of the video, if you want me to cover certain specific pairs or instruments, or basically just in general instruments, please leave a comment after the video is uploaded and below this video, and yep, I'll pick it up from there, and I'll see you on my next video, which is going to be tomorrow morning in my Trader's Espresso, and that's 7 o'clock GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.